Hey, this is Angela with this week's Living the Shift. Often, when we start on our what I call our active spiritual journey, we're always on our spiritual journey. It's just when we actively become conscious of it and putting effort, like an active effort towards it. But that's happening more and more. So often, when someone starts there, many times they start from they have a physical issue. They have some other issues in their life that they can't seem to get rid of no matter what they try. They've tried, Western medicine, they've tried this. And so they're told they have a chronic condition, a terminal condition, something that they won't be able to get rid of. And so they come and ask, "So, can I get rid of this?" Of course we can. That's part of this part of the journey. That's part of this experience at this time and this place during this shifting period on earth, which is coming back to the realization that we are the divine. This is all an illusion, that we are never imperfect, that all of this stuff that we manifest into the physical are things that we can remove at our will and reshape, reform, eliminate altogether. It's our choice. It's coming back into our power, and that's fully what all of this energy work and the spiritual evolution is all about, is coming back to the remembrance that we are the divine, that we can tap into that at any moment, and that we can release the crutch of anything outside of us. So the key being, usually there's some place you start, right? Somebody comes in, they want to try to work on something. They have no other hope. The doctors have given her whatever, and they say, okay, I want to work on this. Okay, they have a blockage. Somebody has a blockage in their life, and they've tried all this other stuff, and they can't seem to get past it. Or they simply have an interest. Their intuition is spiking. They're falling open, or what we call awakening. And so all of a sudden they're having this instantaneous concept of the wider universe, what I call the expanded universe. And they don't know what to do with that. They don't know how to harness it. They don't know what it's for. And many times it's scary. So the question always comes down to where do I start, right? And my answer is, where do you want to start? Because there is no right or wrong. There is no right way to do it, the wrong way to do it. There's no right. Everything that we do, including what we call Western medicine, that's all a tool. They're all tools to adjust ourselves in this reality, in the physical reality that we live in. So my understanding is that we're at this point now of evolution and coming back to our empowerment. So my understanding is that as we go further along, which is moving along at an exponential rate right now, as we move along and progress, what's just more and more important is to come down to the purity of our divine ability within ourselves without the tools. Now, it's like anything else. When you first learn how to ride a bike, you get on the bike, you usually use training wheels. Some people go right to the bike without training wheels, but most people use the training wheels. There's a lot of, when you start walking, when you're a baby, you crawl, or you crawl over to something that you can hold on to and stand up before you actually walk. So that's many times what goes on with this kind of progression in the spiritual awakening. Some just open up like a book. Some go further in one step than others. It doesn't make anyone right or anyone wrong. So the question is always this: well, what's right for me? What's right? What is right? The right way to do it? Should I, things like acupuncture? Should I try chiropractor? Should I try Reiki or energy, other kinds of energy work? What does that do for me? And if I want to learn it, which one should I learn first? And all this kind of stuff. So the answer is always, what do you feel like? What do you want to try first? The key is to get to the point number one, to simply get to the point where they trust that they will be guided to that which they are, well suited for in the position or where they are right now. And that doesn't mean in a year from now that's not going to change. I had, when I started down this path, or continued down this path, or was active on this path or whatever, I was drawn to everything. I was voracious. I wanted to read books because that's what I get to. What book should I read? What tools should I use? Can I use this too? Can I learn how to use tarot cards? Can I use crystals? Can I use, a pendulum? Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I learn how to do Reiki? Can I learn how to do Trinity? Can I learn how to do, can I do? And I always say, of course you can. Do you want to? If you want to, do you want to? It's all different flavors of ice cream. I say this over and over and over again. It's just what works for you. Now, I have in my practice, I work, actually that's what I do, is I do energetic and spiritual, intuitive healing work and instruction and coaching and mentoring. So I work with people all the way that just want to have something alleviated in their life or opened up in their life, to those who really want to do this, who really want to learn how to take the reins and do this. And there's no right or wrong, and there's everything in between. And so the funny thing is, many times when someone calls me, and when I first meet them and they want to come in for a session, they ask me, well, what kind of sessions do you do and what do you want to do? And I say, you know what? I am always guided. I'm always guided. I have like all these different modalities I practice. I have all these different practices. Everything's starting to blend together. And basically when I see someone, I'm just guided to use a certain vein of practice to help them out. Whether it's teaching them simply how to tune into their higher self so that they can start getting answers themselves, how they can quiet the mind to simply allow answers to come in, how they can, or which method I should use, which tool I could use that's going to help that person in the highest and best way for that particular session, with that particular intention. That's how it works. That's where we're moving towards. Total fluidity. If you go in saying, I am going to do this kind of work on this kind of person, make sure you're guided, make sure you're clear. So I always come back to the first step, actually in my understanding is, the first step is really the easiest way to be able to do this and discern is the first step, learn how to tap into the higher self. Learn how to clear the chatter in the mind of the ego and get into the higher self so that you can discern the answers. Is this the highest and best for this situation? Because then you can learn 100 tools and you can ask in every situation which one is going to be highest and best for this situation. And my understanding is that's how we're going along. And the key is this: at the end of the day, we can get rid of the tools. And that's what we're going to eventually. We are on that path, on a very quick and accelerated path, on getting back to our core Christed consciousness, our core divinity, which comes from unconditional love and is unmarred by the ego. And that's really the question many ask is, well, how do we avoid abusing this power and this? And that's because we've always used tools. That's been part of this existence, learning how to use tools. Well, that's disempowering ourselves and pretending that the power of something is outside of us. So the more that we become comfortable with our own divinity, the more we can say, I don't need that tool anymore. I'm at a point where I can pick up a pendulum and I can use it if I so choose. And yet I don't really use them very often. If somebody asks me to, I can show them. Every once in a while I sort of get stuck on something and I'm like, just for some reinforcement, might use one. But I don't need it. I don't need cards. I don't need any of the tools. I don't need crystals. I don't need to have all this other stuff. I don't need to have certain ceremonies. I am working to the point, I'm getting to the point where I can just do what needs to be done in whatever form it comes in, whatever form it comes through from my higher self or my divine self, and trust that it's going to happen that way. And that's really the beautiful part. And yes, we can still have fun. Many people say, oh, well, that's boring. No, it's actually more fun because that leaves us more time to say, oh my gosh, now we can explore the really wild stuff, the really woo-woo stuff. And I talk about that sometimes, not so much on these webcasts, but it just opens up the playing field and allows us so much more opportunity for play and excitement. And it's just amazing, amazing, magical, magnificent stuff. But the key is, going back to the original intent of this webcast, is just pick what your heart pulls you to. You know, when I was first doing all this too, I didn't know what to read. There's so many books and I love to read, right? So I would be like, well, what do I read? There's 50 books here and whatever. And you know, it would always be picked out for me. it would come up in conversation all of a sudden for like three different people would bring it up independently in different conversations, a certain book, and I'd be like, okay, third time, yeah, all right, I obviously need to read it. Or even like part of it, because sometimes I would read part of it and then just get to a point and say, oh, that was great, and then just feel no desire to move on, and then I just had to learn how to trust I got what I needed from this book and I can move on to something else. Eventually I got to the point where I don't really need to see a book, because I trust my connection. I trust that I can pull any information that I need from the divine, from source, and that it will collaborate with, the truth of many others. Now, we all have different truths, and we all have different paths and different journeys, and the purpose for that is for our individual I ams. But the key is to simply learn how to trust, to learn how to tap into the higher self, and then all the tools, they're just tools. If you want to use nails and a hammer to figure out what direction you should go in and throw them in a pile, or just nails and throw them in a pile, and it's the same thing, tea leaves and runes and this and that. They're just guided, focused energy. And when we start tapping into that and knowing that we actually create this around us, it is going to reflect back at us no matter what no matter what it is. I've had some of the craziest messages come back to me. I've had some of the craziest. It's just really fun, and I always laugh because I love them. I love the fun and humor when I allow it to just be whatever. And when the messages come back, sometimes I just laugh because it can come in a commercial or a billboard or somebody's license plate in front of me or a song that comes on the radio and all that kind of stuff. And then many times I don't even consciously clear stuff out, but I just set my intention that I'm auto-clearing all the stuff that doesn't serve me anymore. And that it auto-clears with grace and ease and balance, harmony, and joy. That's my only expectation. Those are my only reins. And everything else I let go. And it's fun and amazing how it seems to roll and is fluid. And it's so much more fun. And I stress so much less with less anxiety and all that kind of stuff. So again, but it's been a long path, and I have learned a lot of different tools along the way. And tools are included with you could go to a psychologist, you can do affirmations, you can do all kinds of support groups, you can learn how to do all these different kind of things. You can learn sound healing, you can learn chakra healing, you can learn yoga, and there's all different kinds of ways for you to start expanding and focusing. And the only way we learn is when we just sort of do something. And that's what I tell people as they get overwhelmed, and I say, okay, what are you drawn most to? Just take a class in it, and if it's not for you, you'll know. And you'll be guided to the place, and sort of set your intention that it's going to be in an efficient manner. It's going to come to you, your answers and your tools, or what's going to work for you will come to an efficient manner. So if you're questioning, well, what kind of a healer should I go see? What kind of a healer should I become? And all of a sudden you start meeting somebody or different people who are recommending the same kind of thing, an acupuncturist, somebody who does certain kind of healing work. Then, I would start heeding that and say, okay, well, maybe I should try this out. If it's come up like 3 times now, maybe I should. And sometimes you go and you say, well, it really wasn't for me. But many times it sort of opened the door into something else or gave you some insight into something else that you might want to step. There are no wrong steps. There are no wrong paths. And the key is to really let go of the reins and, like I said, have fun with it and say, okay, I want to accomplish this. And set the end goal and then let go of the reins and say, and I trust it's just going to be with grace and ease and balance, harmony, and joy and fun and excitement, adventure, and all that kind of stuff. So if you are stuck, or if you are like paralyzed in that whole indecision, if you're paralyzed in not knowing what to do next or what to do first or what to do last, simply just pick something and start moving towards it, and then you will be energetically guided in that way. I promise. You can trust. On that, I'm going to let you go. This is Angela with this week's Living the Shift.